Mr. Nick Rhodes is a retired lieutenant colonel in the United States Air Force. He holds master's degrees in education and business administration. He currently serves on the New Hanover County Board of Education, and during this term, Mr. Rhodes has served as chairman of the Finance Committee. It was there that his leadership was key in preparing a school budget that avoided any impact to school classroom instruction or elimination of staff despite a reduction in state and county funding. He served also as a member of the Curriculum Committee, where the focus is on raising student achievement, reducing the dropout rate, eliminating the achievement gap, and revising the academically gifted program.
For allegedly employing a neighborhood school plan that hinders diversity within individual schools. With recent redistricting, New Hanover County is enforcing a similar neighborhood school plan under which some schools maintain mostly all white or all minority student populations. Parsley Elementary, for example, has a student population that is 97% white and only 3% minority. Question, do you agree that New Hanover County should continue enforcing neighborhood schools, defined here as a districting plan that places students in the school nearest their homes? Please explain why you agree or disagree.
Mr. Rhodes?
In a perfect world, I would support neighborhood schools. As Ms. Kugeley said, I don't know why anyone would be opposed to a youngster being able to walk to school or ride his bus to school, ride his bike to school. But you asked a question specifically about New Hanover County. New Hanover County is shaped like a slice of pizza, and it's not possible to have neighborhood schools in New Hanover County without overcrowding. The example that you used with Parsley. Parsley has trailers all over the landscape there to maintain that concept. Just this week, last week, mind you, we had a request to move trailers into Bellamy Elementary because they were holding classes in the media center in the library. I don't think that serves anyone well. I think a student learns better when they're in a permanent classroom that was built for that purpose. So we have to look at the landscape in which we have and provide a quality education for all students. Mr. Higgins mentioned about the Harlem Children's Zone.
Hi.
It can be argued that in this community, the school system is a key component to economic development. What initiatives need to be in place or need to be reinforced that are already in place to produce graduates who are stronger in science, technology, engineering, and math, and therefore better prepared for a sophisticated 21st century workforce?
Mr. Rhodes?
If you don't know where you're going, then the road will get you there. This board and this system didn't have a strategic plan until I came onto the board. So therefore, they had no plan for preparing students to go into engineering and science. Now that we are beginning to do that, the future jobs will be in knowledge workers. Unless we have a quality school system, a high-performance school system led by people who have a vision for the future, we will not get there. This board has not demonstrated that it has any kind of vision for leading students to do anything, least of all in math and science. Now with a strategic plan and a new superintendent, and hopefully after November we'll have a new board, we can get on with doing some things that should have been done in the past. So until we have that, we are playing catch up. And hopefully after November we'll be in a position to provide those kind of services where all of our students will be knowledge workers in the future and provide the kind of industrial base that this community deserves.
She says research shows that early brain development, especially in the first 3 years of life, is shaped by home and community environments. Supportive, nurturing families and caregivers are critical in laying the foundation for a child's education. What do you see as the best way to help prepare the youngest children in New Hanover County for success in school?
Mr. Rhodes?
I'm on board with Smart Start, so I can appreciate Mevin Boyd's concern. So the issue is how do we stimulate that young brain? And it starts really before the child, while the child is still in the womb. We have to have those programs that stimulate those through parental involvement with books and reading and proper child care, and make sure that that child is well taken care of. We've spent a lot of resources here in New Hanover County on through Smart Start, providing that early start for children even before they are into kindergarten. That is very important, and I think that's one of the most important things that I do in this community is helping those young people develop when they're 1, 2, and 3 years old before they get into the system. I'd like to comment on Mr. Higgins' book that he said he's read about the Harlem Children's Zone. It's nice to read books, but if you don't do anything about the knowledge, it's not very much good to you. I can't think of anything Mr. Higgins has done relative to the Harlem Children's Zone here in New Hanover County.
Mr. Stein. Now let's go to our first audience question. Why don't you go ahead and tell us your name and where you're from.
My name is Casey McCreary, and I'm from New Hanover County.
Thank you, Casey. And what question would you like to pose to the candidates?
I would like to thank all the candidates. I would like to remind us what Colin Powell's wife said today when she said the Messiah greeting is, "How are the children?" And I think that's the most important thing. My question is, given the rate of dropout in high school, as much as 62% for African Americans, 34% for Caucasians, what is it that you have done on the board to ameliorate that, or what do you plan to do if you get in? Thank you.
Mr. Rhodes.
To reduce the dropout rate, there has to be early intervention. It has to start with remediation early. Back to the Smart Start question that was posed earlier. That's when we have to start the intervention, and as the child moves through the system, there has to be, as Ms. Hughley said, that child has to connect with someone and understand that someone cares. And once that child understands that someone cares and that school is relevant, we have to offer other alternatives for students. We need to expand our career technical education. It's not the poor student that drops out all the time. There are a lot of our good students drop out. So what we have to do, we have to have that intervention and make sure that school is relevant. Students drop out leave school in high school, but pretty much they drop out before they get there. So we have to make sure we have that intervention, that someone cares, and that school is made relevant for the students. If they don't see the need for it, they won't attend.
This is being sponsored by the Cape Fear Economic Development Council, so I have a question that involves the economics of running a school system, the fiscal responsibility of the board members and the candidates hoping to be board members. It's my understanding that we have capacity in certain middle schools within our county that sits empty while we put temporary classrooms at other locations at a great expense to the county, simply to avoid having to face the parents about the busing issue. Now, this is just hard economic decisions that need to be made about using the facilities that we currently have. I'd like both the candidates and the existing school board members to address the waste of funds.
Thank you, Weston. We'll start with Mr. Rhodes.
That's an excellent question. New Hanover County is 33rd in the state when it comes to per pupil education, and on the local level it's number 7. If you add those numbers together, we spend $1,900 per student above the state average. What do we get for that? I really don't know. We have 2 buildings sitting empty right now. We have the pre-K center that's empty. We have Blunt School that's empty. Yet we have trailers everywhere. There is $279,000 in this year's budget to move trailers. Now, you tell me how much sense that makes. Meanwhile, we got buildings empty, and we got some of our middle schools are open. 5 of our middle schools are overcrowded. 3 have up to 300 empty spaces in it. We've got to do a better job of protecting the taxpayers' dollars.
Time. where you're from.
My name is Catherine Fleming. I'm from New Hanover County. I am a biomechanist by trade, but I'm the mother of a 7-year-old and a 4-year-old. So my 7-year-old is in the public school system, and my 4-year-old will be soon. I heard each of the candidates identify important qualities that make a successful teacher, as well as unique challenges that the socioeconomically advantaged and disadvantaged face. If we were to go back to busing for diversity, socioeconomic diversity within the public school system, my question is, how would you propose that each teacher could design an educational program to address the widely varying needs of these two different student populations within the same classroom? Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Rhodes.
I agree with Mrs. Hughley that it depends on if you value diversity. And the question was, how does a teacher teach at a different level? Teachers are trained today, at least they should be, to differentiate instructions because students learn in different learning styles, and they have to adjust to that. Homogeneous classrooms or homogeneous schools. The world is not a homogeneous place. The world is a very diverse place, and we need to be preparing our students to function in a 21st century economy. As Mr. Stein said earlier, we are no longer leaders in the world when it comes to educating our kids. That tells us that something is not working. We are looking backwards. We need to be able to find a quality education for every child, and we need to be looking at how to do that. Step outside of the box and look at the body of evidence or the body of research that tells us what contributes to learning and advanced achievement for our students.
Thank you, Candace.
Comes from Susan Coleman, who is a homemaker. The question is, do you believe that New Hanover County schools are utilizing the Magnet Schools Assistance Program to the fullest extent possible?
Mr. Rhodes.
The question is our magnet school concept working? The answer to that is an unequivocal no, because we only have one magnet school in the county. Freeman and Snipes are not magnet schools. Mr. Higgins said the kids go there because of choice. They are districts to those schools. Both Snipes and Freeman have attendance zones. They are restricted. Only 100 kids are admitted outside of the district to go to those schools. So let's set the record straight on this now. Those are not magnet schools. Those are essentially neighborhood schools. And let's not put anything on. The purpose of a magnet school is to reduce racial isolation. Those two schools increased racial isolation. And as Ms. Hughley said, they were not well planned. You don't make a magnet school by putting a sign out front that says magnet. Until we get out and do the due diligence and make sure that they are done the right way, they will never succeed.
It's time. Mr. Rhodes.
I'm running for re-election because I truly believe that every child deserves a quality education without regard to where he or she lives, goes to school, or its socioeconomic status. This board has made some terrible decisions with regard to providing quality education for all children. Back to Holly Shelter, I was up there yesterday. We have 40 kids in a class in that school. So that tells you the kind of decisions that have been made. We've got to be an advocate for all children and make sure that all children receive a quality education. And if you look at our numbers, that has not happened in this community. So vote for Nick Rhodes on November 2nd.